safari live. That's what I was hoping they wouldn't do. This is why we've been sat so far back. There they go. But you might actually be able to see the little ones a little bit closer. I think they're moving on to the next maru, the tree. But you can see that little speedometer go. It is the funniest thing, and if they do start trotting, just see it only goes halfway up, and then when they go full speed it's all the way up. It is brilliant. But it is supposed to be so that the rest of the family can follow each other through the tall grass, and obviously the little babies are going to make use of it following mum. I'm just wondering if we can just turn around slightly here. You might see them a little bit better with the height. She's going to go around the other side there. We might have to go on the other side of the road. Yeah, she's going on the other side of the termite mound. There's still one visible. Now it is likely they're two females. Generally speaking, you'll have a female with her offspring. You might even get her older daughter with her offspring. Very rarely you'll get a male and a female, but it can happen. It tends to be females. You're going to come this way, lady. There you go. Come out and say hello. I must admit, one of the best things is when the warthogs are a little bit older than what the piglets are now, and they seem to have a mad half an hour, and they'll just spit on the spot. It's brilliant. It's so funny. Definitely got a sense of humour. Oh, there's the other one. She's starting to come out. Oh, and we got an ellie joining them. I wonder if the ellie is going to chase them off. You might just accept the fact that they are there feeding on the marula fruits. Yeah, hello. I'm sure you smelt us before. Yep, warthogs are going to be brave. There you see the two little piglets now. I'm wondering actually if this isn't the little family group Mark saw the other day. Were you with Mark? Mm. Yeah, might well be the same family. Oh, fantastic. Apparently there is another elephant down at the Juma waterhole at Gowrie Dam having a bath. That is also one of the best things to see, is an elephant actually having a bath. Having a bath and swimming around. Oh, it's fantastic. I'll see if I can try and get a little bit closer without disturbing the warthogs. I wonder if he's on his way down to Gowrie Dam as well. Yeah, walking straight past the marula tree at the back. Just got her head up. Wondering if we might just be able to see them as we go past here. Hopefully be on a slightly higher part of the quarantine. Mr. Ellie is following some form of scent. See, as soon as you stop, straight down. So we're still quite far from them, but it's a little bit skittish. It's alright, lady, you can carry on feeding. It's as close as I'm going to get. You can see where they get the name from, warthogs. They get the two swellings on the face. And with the males they have the 4, females just have 2. Sorry, who was asking again? Hi Sharon, welcome on board again this afternoon. I think maybe you missed your question this morning, but Sharon would like to know about Birchall and why he's named after so many things. So we managed to find a little bit about him this morning, or Brian did, and apparently he was an explorer around the 1800s, I think the early 1800s, and he collected 50,000 specimens. That's quite incredible. I thought it was a lot, but 50,000 is just mind-blowing, to be honest. Hence there are so many things named after him. And we have the Birchall starling, and apparently he covered about 10,000 kilometres of unexplored terrain. So he was an explorer. I think actually, if you could just check for me if he was British. That was one thing I forgot to check up on. I think he was British, but he's got so he was English. So a naturalist, author, artist, and I say I'm still looking out for those little flowers I was talking about this morning. That he painted pictures using an ink that he got from this small yellow flower called a Ganidia. And the pictures that he painted with that yellow, some of them still survive apparently, and the yellow is still very vivid. So even from the early 1800s, quite amazing. But he's had the Birchall zebra named after him, the Birchall starling, the Birchall's cuckoo. So I suppose in the whole grand scheme of things, there's not that much that is named after him, considering he found 50,000 species. But I suppose there would be a lot of bugs and insects as well as birds and... Oh, I think we need to get down to the waterhole. Apparently there's a lot of activity down there. Oh, baby elephants swimming around. That's something definitely to see. But it's nice to see the warthogs. We haven't really caught up with the warthogs. Our baby bull obviously must be hearing all that commotion and smelling. It could be that he's keen to have a bit of company. And he's gone. Just stopped to say hello to the warthog just for a few seconds. Hi Mike in Joburg, welcome aboard. George the warthog. Oh, there's that Eddie Ball. Okay, he went over to the marina tree that side and now he's on his way back. But I think we're going to head down to the dam because apparently there's some baby elephants swimming and that's something, oh, I definitely want to have a moment seeing. I'm sure you guys do too. George the warthog. George the warthog, he was actually quite huge. I'm getting there, we're going. Sure, he's a big Eddie Bull, hey? Wow. Oh, I'm torn. We did say a quick hello, but baby elephant swimming. Come on, come join us. Yeah, he's picking up pace a bit. Come, let's go see. George the warthog, yeah, he used to come and visit around camp. And I was there taking pictures of him one day. And I was just sat quite nicely, and he had quite big tusks. And it was one of those, I was looking through the lens and click, 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 click. I was thinking, wow, he's filling the frame and everything. I was getting so excited. And I pulled away my camera and he's literally like 1.5 meters away from me. And I suddenly thought, ooh, he could do some damage to me if he really wanted to. Luckily, he also kind of went, oh yeah, you're quite close, aren't you? But we both just took a second and we realised, you know, actually, no, we didn't need to panic. Neither of us wanted to do anything. But he was busy grazing and, you know, sort of minding his own business. Oh, no, don't leave. No, why do you want to go and do that for? But yeah, George, pictures again. Thought maybe I'd put one or two up on Facebook. Yeah, find it. But probably one of the best pictures of warthog I ever got. But he was a beautiful big male. Hello, buffalo. Oh, we just missed the ellies. Well, hopefully that big boy's on his way down. So he looked like he was going to come and join us. George the warthog. Hello, boys.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm just going to head around and just see if we can't catch up with this ellie herd. Hopefully some of you got to see the babies swimming at least. Not to follow. If he did, he's taking his time. It looked like he was really picking up pace though. Just need to cut in somewhere here because they were slowly moving this way. There they are. And here as well. See, maybe if we can get into the open area here, because the rest of the herd are actually this way. Hi, Scott. Welcome on board this afternoon. Scott was wanting to know. Oh, now you're going to come out, are you, lady? Rest of the herd are on the way. Oh, there's the baby just in front of us. Oh, that is tiny. That is just about a year old. Hi Scott, welcome on board this afternoon. And check these baby elephants out live here on WildEarth. Oh, that is just adorable. And they're going to cross in front of us as well on the road. Here she comes. So we've got a year-old and probably about a 3 to 4-year-old just behind it. And then the rest of the family are just following, slightly older. And there they go, the family's just coming into view again on our right. Yeah. This little female's probably about a 15, 16-year-old. And then we've got a couple of bulls, young bulls at the back. We might get to see the baby Ellie again. Scott would like to know if any of the lodges use electric vehicles for a quieter drive. And as far as I know, I don't think they have made the way this side. It's a little bit more difficult having electricity in the lodges, and sometimes we do get power cuts, so I suppose if we were on electric vehicles, they wouldn't be able to maybe run safaris if there was a power cut overnight. So at least with the petrol and the diesel vehicles, even if there's no power in the lodge, we can still go out on drive and enjoy the bush. But one thing I have seen is, I'm actually going to see if we can maybe turn it, because they're actually having a dust bath now. Now they've had a mud bath, they're going for a dust bath. Just see if I can actually get a better view for you. Oh, there's baby. There's one just through there. Baby trying to push past her legs. But yeah, what I have seen is if you have an animal and you roll towards them, sometimes they get a little bit a little bit of a fright because they didn't realise that you were actually coming, whereas at least if you have the vehicle noise, the animals can actually hear you, and then it's up to them if they want to come and see you. Hello. I'm going to say hello. I think that's protective sister, there we go. Just making sure that we know our place. I'm just going to pull forward again because there's some boys just on our left here who might also have a bit of a dust bath. So it is getting a bit thicker through there, and with the baby I'm not going to follow them too closely because they are quite protective, but hopefully we can still see this from a couple of young boys. So yeah, so I'm not sure how an electric vehicle would go down in the bush. Because you might find the animals, but as I say, they might just get a bit of a fright with it not being able to hear the approach of the vehicle. That's a tricky one. I think certainly once you find them, I think that would be good, because then you can just switch on. You don't need to, they wouldn't startle maybe as easily as what they do sometimes. But that's why I say sometimes if I'm very close to the animals, if they've come to me and they've got close, I'll fiddle with the keys and just kind of give them some indication that we're actually going to start the vehicle, just to try and relay to them that, you know, there's going to be a noise very shortly. And sometimes it works. I know at some other places people do that, just to try and help relax the animals. Think small, everybody. He's still here. There's one just behind the termite mound. Let's see if we can get another opening. Let's see if we can see them again for you. I think that might be our last chance to see them. So chances are there's no females in estrus. I know there was quite a few ellies down by the dam yesterday, and there was a budding muss, and all the females were very quick to move away from him. So there was no females that were actually wanting to mate at that stage. We've just got a little bit of an opening here. I think there's one just up on the left here. Hi, Patty from Wisconsin. Good morning to you. Welcome on board. Patty wants to know if the mother... Oh, Sally. Sorry, Sally, I misheard you. Sally, and I think we are... They're moving too quickly. It was very thick here. Oh well, at least we got to see them a couple of times, especially with that cute little baby. Let's just going to try and turn around and make our way out. Maybe we'll have another look with some more ellie herds as we go. We've actually been quite privileged to see so many elephants around lately. It's absolutely wonderful. Sally wanting to know, does the mum help baby with a dust bath? And I think baby has to learn. I haven't seen them, but there's a science. You don't often see them doing the dust bathing. I haven't seen enough mothers with babies to see that. Maybe Mark has. That'll be a one for Mark to ask and answer for you. But I think certainly the babies enjoy splashing around in the water and rolling in mud, and I think they just get used to watching what to do in terms of getting the dust onto their bodies. Looks like the one jumping out. Good. Will be clear. Am I clear on that log? Hi LA from Massachusetts. Everyone's thinking that baby Ellie is a little bit small to be a year old. Believe me, they are a lot smaller. You can see it's actually just reaching mother's belly. So if they could go underneath the belly, they're around a year old or under. But you can see it wasn't flopping around. The trunk wasn't flopping around as much as what it can do. So, because it takes them a good 6 to 8 months to actually learn how to use the trunk. So it looked like it had quite a bit more control over it than what I'd have expected. But I have seen baby elephants when they first been born, and my word, they're tiny. They really are like dots. They're like this big. They are tiny. So they'll be even smaller than what that baby elephant was. I think at most, well, the youngest it would have been, I think, probably about 8 or 9 months, but I wouldn't have said any younger than that. And we have some Nyala crossing in front of us. Slightly different to the Impala. They've got the stripes on their bodies, and you can see they've got one colour all over the body, that chestnut brown colour. They are slightly larger than the Impala. Not by much, but just slightly. Oh, our bull made it down to the water hole. Let's go and have a look. He's having a swim. Oh, he obviously heard me. Go back to swimming, mister. just following this female herd. Where are you going to pop out? You're going to come up this way. Just see which route he takes. He's hiding behind the bush. Play hide and seek. You come this way? It looks like you might come this way. I was expecting him to come up the bank that side. He's choosing to walk along the water's edge instead. Smelling the ground. He is smelling where the females have been by the looks of it. You say he could be finding that there's no reason for them to follow. That is a big ellie. Let's see if we can pull past that. Oh, no, he's going to do it for us. He's very tall. But he doesn't look to be an old bull. Maybe between his 30s, 40s. But again, he doesn't have the very deep indents in his head. Very, very tall. Well, hopefully you managed to see him having a bit of a swim anyway. And maybe you managed to see him on the Gary camera. There he is. Yeah, see, he's following those females. But I'm not seeing any sign of him being in must. He keeps putting his trunk up to sniff them as well. Playing hide and seek again. Yeah, they went that way, buddy. You might just see him walking with his trunk up. There we go. The periscope. Sorry, I didn't catch what can kill something. Oh, ticks. Hi, Joanna. Oh, Jacqueline. Sorry, Jacqueline. Welcome on board, Jacqueline from Savannah. Good to hear from you again. And Jacqueline wondering if ticks can kill any animals in the bush like they can cats and dogs. I've not heard that they can, but hearing about the domesticated animals, I wouldn't be surprised if there is that possibility. I must admit, that was a new one to me, that cats and dogs can actually get tick bite fever, and that can actually be quite detrimental to them. There he goes. Yeah, he is definitely following them. He is definitely following them. We're going to have a bit of a... No. He is on a mission, which is interesting. Are you smelling him?
It smells more like marillas.
It does, doesn't it? It doesn't smell like the urine that we could smell the other day. But I'm definitely smelling strong elephant smell. Maybe it is just that from him. Let's say there was no gland weeping, there was no urine dribbling. Interesting that he is actually pursuing them, but it's that thick area again, so I think we're gonna battle to try and keep up with him again. But maybe there is a female anestrus. As I say, if they don't, or if they're not immersed, there is a chance that they can go and find females anestrus. But being immersed and having that testosterone running around the body does give them a slight edge. Well, more than a slight edge. Especially if there's other bulls contending for females. There's a giraffe watching us. Where did you go, giraffe? There you are. I think this is the boy that we keep seeing. And that is a female. You can see the ossicones are slightly narrower. Where are you going? Don't run away. You'll be seeing the giraffe at the back there. Something caught her eye and they started walking towards it. Ah, disappeared. Okay, I can just about see her through there. She disappeared again. No, there she goes. Oh, I was hoping we were going to see her quite nicely then. Well, since we're on Central, we'll keep heading Central. She's moved that way now. Maybe we'll see her. Maybe she will pop out this way. The bush is getting thicker again. She must have changed direction again and headed further in. Oh well, see if we can find another one. It's nice, they're starting to come out of the woodworks again. So the last update I had about Karula was apparently her tracks might have been seen around Cheetah Cut Line, possibly heading west towards Buffalo's Hook Down. So I think it's worth us checking out around there, and we'll head down towards the hyena den as well. Say that wind has picked up. It is quite breezy this afternoon, so helping to keep the temperature quite nice. Oh, there's some more warthogs. Very cool. They might have just disappeared too quickly. I did see them, I promise you. I wasn't imagining them, I promise. Oh, no, they've gone. Oh dear, oh well. I'm just chuffed we managed to see them right at the start of drive. Quite often you will see warthogs, it almost looks like they're on their knees, but it's actually their wrists. It's the equivalent of our wrists. And that's just to allow them to get close to roots and grasses, because they've got a very short neck. So instead of bending down and standing back up and then walking and then bending down and standing back up again, they actually walk on their wrists, and they actually build up hard calluses, so it protects them. It almost acts like knee pads to allow them to move around. Kathy from Indiana, welcome on board this afternoon. Do you need me to stop for a bit? Yeah, all good. Good afternoon to you, Kathy. And can we wear sunscreen in the bush, or will the scent disturb the animals? And no, you can wear sunscreen. Sunscreen and mosquito spray, even deodorant we do wear. I think life would become very unpleasant for us, I think, if we didn't wear deodorant. I mean, let's say this whole thing is unnatural, and the animals do grow up knowing the vehicles and knowing that this thing makes funny noises and there's very odd smells that come from it, and obviously people wear perfume, we have the shampoos as well. So I think they get used to knowing that this is just an odd thing that they see every so often, and anything goes smell-wise. And obviously you've got the smell of the diesel, the petrol, depending on what it is. At least Wendy's a petrol vehicle, just like Jigger. The Gunda was a diesel, and it did sound like a tractor, that's what it was named. Gunda. But yeah, the one where you don't really want to have too much in the way of perfumes and things like that is if you're walking through the bush, because you want to blend in as much as possible. So if you're walking through the bush, you wouldn't wear light things. I wouldn't wear this kind of shirt if I was walking. I'd make sure I'm wearing something darker, dark green. I used to advise my guests dark browns, blacks, navy, burgundies, you know, all those sorts of things, but not light, bright colours, because you stick out like a sore thumb. And as I say, perfumes as well, big no-no. But I mean, we're still going to smell. If the animals do catch our scent, they're still going to know it's humans, because we do, you know, use soaps and deodorants and all that sort of thing. So we do have our own smell. Even if we didn't use deodorants, we'd still have our own smell. But then you rely on bushcraft, so you'd walk downwind, just like the leopard was doing today. I kept saying the wind is on his side, so anything that side of the leopard, the scent was coming towards him, so he could smell where the prey was, but the prey couldn't smell where he was, and he made sure that he was going into the wind all the time, which is very important, and it's important when you're walking as well. And you try and avoid walking through drainage lines, because you're actually in the drainage line, so you want to be on the bank as much as possible, so that you're actually looking into the drainage line where buffaloes and elephants might be, and even leopards and lions, especially during the heat of the day. You want to know the area pretty well, so you know where the rocky outcrops are, and you'd use the rocks as a vantage point, so you're looking down. And I've had a few really nice sightings using rocks, just sitting on rocks and letting the rhinos walk around, and they can't get at you. It's amazing. So even if they do know that you're there, they're not fussed. So yeah, using the lay of the land. So all that you have to take into consideration when you're walking. Even the angle of the sun, where the sun position is. Because if you're walking towards an animal with the sun behind you, then you're going to be silhouetted, so you want to make sure that you're staying in the cover. But if you're walking where the animal's between you and the sun, you could get blinded by the sun. And also the animal can see you a lot clearly as well. So generally speaking, you do want to be walking. Oh, there goes a dacre. Oh, could have been a bushbuck actually, slightly bigger. Just bounced out into the road and bounced back again into the bush. And for those of you who did miss this morning's drive, where were you? No, I'm joking. But we did manage to catch up with one of the other guides just to fill us in on a few details. So he said that the Birmingham coalition was still on the west, and there is still 5 apparently. And apparently it's not Blondie who was the one that was MIA. It was Scrapper, I think it was called. I should have written that name down. But it was the smallest of the coalition. Apparently it was missing for 2 or 3 weeks, but the 5 were all back together again. Apparently the Matimbas met up and they've come south again, and apparently there's 2 Styx females south as well. So they're with them at the moment. And Tandy's cub, or Suseka, as we know her, and it's definitely Siseka, not Shadow. I won't make that mistake again, I promise. But Tandy's cub, when they found the cub, it was already smelling, so that's why they believe that the carcass was maybe a day or two old when they found it at the hyena den. So that's what makes them wonder if it wasn't the hyenas that killed it, they just found the carcass. But no one really knows who or what might have killed the cub. There's some speculation, but I think it's going to be one of those bush mysteries, unfortunately. But the cub was about 4 months old, but I think the guide was saying, it was Andrew, he was saying that he's very keen to try and catch up with Tandy and just check up, see if she's got the other cub. So we're still waiting to hear news about her other cub. Clouds are slowly disappearing. Look at this blue sky, hey? Oh, absolutely glorious. So hopefully it's bringing a little bit of warmth wherever you are in the world, especially in the northern hemisphere, still going through winter. Hope you're feeling the warmth through your TV screen. A little Cape turtle dove, wanting to move out the road. Oh, there we go. Hear the brown-headed parrots calling somewhere over there. I've given up that game of trying to see them. Not to play hide and seek. Unless they're in the tree right in front of us. So just to remind everybody, the drives are going to continue once I leave. I'm going to be leaving on Monday, which is going to be very sad to leave you all, but still we've got a few drives left together, so I'm not thinking about that just yet. But Mark is going to be coming back from these, so he'll be driving you. Hopefully he'll be nice and rested and ready to get back in the saddle by the time he comes back. I'm driving you around Juma, but it has been absolutely wonderful being here, and we've had some wonderful sightings. Very memorable ones once again. And that's what I love about these live drives. Anything is possible. We literally could just come around the corner and meet up with a cheetah, meet up with Karula herself, the Queen of Juma, as we know her. Anything is possible. Even wild dog. That would be amazing. So turning onto Drakensberg Drive, we're going to go past Wari Pan. I'm going to make a turn up by Buffalo's Hook Down. Now that's a bird you kind of have been hearing, but you might not remember its name. It's a Coqui Franklin. Coqui Franklin. Let me just show you in the book. It's quite a small franklin compared to the other franklin spurfowl like the crested and the Natal. And its other call, it actually says its name. It says Coqui, 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 Coqui. Sorry, that was its normal call. To hear the Coqui in it. Okay, there we go. So I'm saying quite a lot smaller than the crested franklin. This is the crested franklin here. But But the most common we've been seeing is the Natal. I think it's called well, it's actually a spurfowl now. They've changed some of the names. So I don't know if the coqui has become spurfowl. But it's beautiful body, but it's the golden head that you look out for. So the coqui Franklin, and I don't tend to hear them around by Gowrie Dam and that side. It's only along this strip, along Drakensberg and this area, that I've been hearing them. And they actually move very slowly across the road. So if we had one here now, it would take them probably a good 10-15 minutes across the road, because they take one step and then they stop. They take another step and then they stop. And it's thought that they look like a tortoise moving. So they're not really bothered by aerial predators. Now how true that is I don't know, but they certainly do take their time crossing the road. It's quite amusing. Little coqui Franklin. So we'll go up to the dam, turn around and then go down to the hyena den, I think. See what's happening that side. So I hope you've remembered the coqui Franklin call, because you never know, it might be a who sung it. So for those of you who have missed it, some of the guys have come up with the who sung it along with the who dung it. So the dung is the track and signs quiz, and the who sung it is the bird quiz. Let's see if we can find a bird or two for you to ID this afternoon. Red-billed hornbills. Butterflies dancing around, some African monarchs and broad-bordered yellows. Haven't seen many yellow pansies. Also a beautiful butterfly. Oh, speak of the devil, there we go. No ways, how about that? Haven't seen a leopard for a while. Okay, it's just landed on the floor. They're highly territorial. I need to roll back a bit further. Oh, there he is. You might just be able to see the yellow, but it does have a blue spot on there as well. But the blue pansy is actually black with a blue spot. So this is yellow pansy. There you go. You can see those blue spots there. But yeah, highly territorial around the ground. You quite often see two dancing around each other, and that's the males fighting. Now, one of the differences between moths and butterflies is supposed to be the way they hold the wings when they land. Butterflies are supposed to fold the wings back, and moths are supposed to sit with the wings out. But you can see this butterfly is actually sitting with its wings out, so it's not strictly true, but it can give you an idea. Moths are supposed to be nocturnal, and butterflies are supposed to be diurnal. So nocturnal being active during the night, and diurnal being active during the day. But again, you can get some species overlapping. But if you look at the head, the antennae on the moths are different to those on the butterfly. Butterfly, just one stalk, whereas the moths almost has like a feathered look about it. So that is a yellow pansy butterfly. Yellow pansy. was thinking I haven't seen very many around. They're usually quite a common butterfly. You're going to fly up. Got a very stubborn butterfly in front of me. He'll probably fly up. There we go. Going on your way, butterfly. Yep. Wanting to leave the area. There we go. You can go back to it now. I'm going to check out Guari Pan. See if there's any movement around there. And if I find its namesake, I'll show you how to make a toothbrush. It's actually the guaris where you can make a bush toothbrush from. Is it possible to see the roller in the tree there? Oh, there we go. So you're going to land somewhere nicely. Nope, flying off. I'm still waiting to see a roller right next to the road in the light so you can see all those magnificent colours on the bird. I think there's something like 12 different colours on the roller. Ah, there's a bird for you to ID in the tree. Just above the water. Not going to get any help this time. But what bird is that? If you want to play along, questions at wildearth.tv or hashtag Safari Live. What bird is sitting in the tree? There he goes. So hopefully you got to see him. See who comes back with the right answer. See if anybody is lurking around here. No, no one in the pan today. I was hoping maybe we'd find a hyena chilling out, but apparently not today. Emily and Virginia in Switzerland. Wow, that was quick. Well done, ladies. How? Well done. That was very quick off the mark there. That was a fork-tailed drongo. And Michelle as well. Well done. Very impressed, guys. There was no help there at all. So hopefully some of you who weren't too sure may have seen the fork at the end of the tail. That's how you can tell he's a fork-tailed drongo. You've got to be careful because there is a black flycatcher. Looks very similar, but the tail is square. Doesn't have that deep fork. And the eye is black, whereas in the drongo we're a little bit too far away to see it, but the eye in the drongo is actually red. And the drongo also has a slight hook to the bill, whereas the flycatcher just has a straight bill, just like the other flycatchers do, short and straight. Oh, hello, Crested Franklin. Can you see him in there, or is it a bit difficult? You going to come out for us, little Franklin? There's the crested franklin. Beautiful colours. As I say, the little coqui is just a bit smaller than the crested. It looks fairly similar from the back, but then it has this golden brown colour head for the male. So a few people wondering if we're going to go to the hyena den this afternoon, and yes we are. We're going to make a turn by Buffles Hook Dam, and then we're going to head down Cheetah Cud Line to the hyena den, see if there's any activity around there this afternoon. They did have a little chick with them there as well. But one of the few ground birds that we have here in South Africa, franklins and spurfowls. Most of them have changed the names to spurfowls now. Hi Dawn, welcome on board. Dawn being a new viewer on board this afternoon, welcome to the LiveSafaris, Dawn. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing so far. And I had to giggle, some of you might remember a lady that was watching the other day, one of my PhD supervisors. She's hooked now, apparently she was watching the other day with the baby hyenas as well, so hopefully Dawn's going to be just as hooked. Great to have you on board with us. And Dawn wants to know, is it not dangerous driving around in an open vehicle? And yeah, there is an element of risk, but the animals have all grown up with the vehicles, and there is that natural respect with the boundary of the vehicles. Oh, kudu. So around the corner, I saw one, so if we see one, there should be others. Kudu makes small herds, about 4 or 5. There's a baby. He's seen through the bush, do you need to move back a bit? You have to see it through there. It's a bit of an odd angle. Somewhere, yeah, somewhere around there. See if we can move back a little bit more. Where's she gone? Oh, she's still there. I think he's just pan a bit further right again. She's on the angle there. She's just to the left of the tree branch. She is there, I can see her. I'm just trying to get the angle for you. Just through there. Maybe through this set of trees. Nope. I think it's just that little bit too thick. Just happening up this side. Kind of. Can you see her face just peering through? She's literally through a gap in the bush there. I see you. Quite a lot larger than the Nyala we saw earlier, and you might just have seen she's a grey beige colour. And those big satellite ears. But yeah, Dawn, so the animals have got used to these vehicles, and especially with the things like the cats, who could potentially just jump in and kill a person. There is that natural respect for the fact that they don't cross this boundary. And if ever, and it kind of goes without saying in the guiding world, and you want to stay as ethical as possible when you're guiding, so trying to reduce the amount of impact that you have on the bush. You know, you don't want to change the dynamics too much, and you know, with the animals as well, you don't want to interfere with their lives. So if there's a hunt going on, you don't want to get involved by putting yourself between the animal and the carnivore. You don't want to assist the carnivore in a hunt, all of that sort of thing. But if a cat actually comes up to a vehicle, now it could just be interested. Sometimes you see the cats walking right down the side of the vehicle and there's no interest there. They might look, but you can see there's no interest there. As soon as that changes, you have to kind of reiterate those boundaries. So if a cat smells the tyre, that's kind of okay. But if a cat puts its paw on the vehicle, that's starting to cross the boundary. And that's so, if that happens, as a guide, you need to kind of reiterate the boundary. So whether it's just saying, hey, and just giving it that little bit of a jump, a little bit of a fright, not enough that it's going to be scared of the vehicle, but just enough that it's like, oh, okay, I don't like that. So whether it's, you know, sort of bang on the side of the vehicle, or even just rolling the vehicle forward slightly, all of that, it just gives them that reminder that no, it's a no-go zone. And you can see it works. You know, the cats walk right around the vehicles. And the other thing is that there's enough prey here for them not to consider humans as prey in this area. And quite often, if the female, the mother, has raised cubs on feeding on certain animals, as long as those animals are available, those cubs will follow suit. So if there's been no reason for the mother to attack humans, then there's no reason for the cubs to follow suit. So we're here at Buffalo's Hook Dam, and the namesake of the dam is not here, but we do have one hippo. And I'm wondering, are we able to get those birds that are just walking along the side of the water, or are they going to disappear too quickly? They're disappearing. Oh no, there's one there. Now we have met this bird a couple of times. There's another one for you guys to ID. See if you can ID it. We've only ever seen it next to the water. Give you a few clues. Black, white and grey. It was trying to help us out last night when we were trying to locate the leopard. We had quite a nice view of it. So what bird was it? Questions at wildearth.tv or #SafariLive. What bird did we just see? Well, Hippo's going to come and investigate. Now this is one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. It was thought they actually killed more people every year than crocodiles, but what they've suddenly realised is crocodiles don't tend to leave any remains, whereas hippos are herbivores and they don't tend to eat meat. There has been 1 or 2 cases where they've been messing with a carcass. They're not sure if they're actually feeding on it or just interested and inquisitive about the carcass. But there's also been documented cases where they actually help impala that may be drowning, baby impala, and they've actually been known to push them to shore and even carry them further out onto the shore. So quite interesting behaviour from the hippo. Coming to see what we're about, I think. But as I say, crocodiles don't tend to leave too much behind, so that's why they've suddenly realised that maybe they're a bit wrong in the assumption that hippos kill more people every year. I'm going to try and display to us, mister. I'm just going to back up so you can see it, because he likes to sit behind the tree apparently. There we go, you're going to display. Now if he's going to display to us, he's going to open his mouth and show off those huge tusks. They can get to about 30-40 centimetres in length. Rob, Raisa, Emily in Virginia. Oh, Emily and Virginia. So, well done again, Emily and Virginia, up there in the top 3. There we go. It's alright, mister, I do not want your water. You can keep it. Joanne as well, well done to everybody for getting it right. Blacksmith lapwing. Hi Karen. Welcome on board this afternoon. Karen would like to know, when we're not on live drive, what do we do during the day? It depends on the day. Sometimes there's some technical stuff to sort out, bits and pieces to fix, and trying to improve the stream and things like that. There's filling the vehicle and organising the food if the food arrives. Sometimes we don't have too much to do, so we can take a break. The heat can sap your energy, so sometimes it is needed just to have a bit of siesta during the day. And I'm also carrying on my work for my PhD, so I'll see if I can answer some emails and do a bit of Facebook, and that's what the rest of the crew do as well. And then, let's say, try and do some work for my PhD. Maybe do a bit of reading around the subject if there's something that I'm not overly sure about, or if my memory's a little bit fuzzy, and I'll do a bit of reading as well. But yeah, the day goes pretty quickly. So always something to do. Interestingly, the teeth from the hippo used to be used for dentures because it didn't go yellow. So hippo tusk used to be used for dentures. So apparently a few people are wondering how the hippo actually kills people, if it is supposed to be the #1 land-based animal. So it was originally supposed to be been killing more people than the crocodile, but as I say, crocodile don't leave remains, so they do now say that the crocodile is the #1 land killer. Obviously after the mosquito carrying the malaria. But how on earth do the hippo do it? Well, you just saw it displaying those tusks. You can see how wide they can open their mouth. It's almost like 180 degrees. When hippos come out of the water, they feel very vulnerable. And if people get between hippos and water, that's the danger. Or if you're getting close to a territorial hippo. Now, if I was to walk down to the water's edge now, I would probably upset this hippo quite dramatically. The fact he's actually come over with us just sitting here on the bank says he is really quite aggressive today. Could be he's just moved in, he's asserting his authority in this water. But if I was to walk towards the water, he might actually charge out at me. And they can actually charge out of the water around 36 kilometers an hour out of the water. That's quite rapid. There's no way I can beat that. If I was to go swimming in the dam, and some people do go swimming in dams and rivers and they don't realise that there's hippos or crocodiles there, and that's how they can be taken, especially again if you've got territorial bull. Sometimes people go kayaking and you do hear of hippos sometimes tipping the kayaks and attacking the kayaks. So they're not all sweetness and light, but the most is in the evening, centered around the water. Either the hippo's leaving the water and people have got too close, or washing their clothes in the water, or swimming in the water, or, as I say, being between the hippo and the water on its retreat trails. But it is hard to believe, but as I say, they do have the weaponry, they do have the force behind them. You're looking about, on average, 1.5 ton animal. It's capable of biting you in two without even thinking about it. They actually have tested the bite power. I forget what it is. The hyena's obviously a lot stronger, but there was a video shown where they would give a hippo a full watermelon and it just chomps straight through it. It doesn't even look like it's a watermelon. It just looks like it's an apple, as we would bite through an apple. That was what the hippo did with the watermelon. So if ever you come into Africa, be aware of water. There could be something lurking there. But very little else moving around. A few people wanted to know how long a hippo can stay underwater for. It's actually not that long, it's about 5-6 minutes tops. But if they're sleeping under the water, all you'll see is two little nostrils poking out of the water. Oh, there was a pied kingfisher. I don't know, did you see it? Oh, I think it was just out of shot. I've been wondering if we're going to see the pied kingfisher, because they used to actually have a nest in the bank behind the hippo. Pied kingfisher being one of the species of kingfisher, one of 10 to actually feed on fish. So it is normal to find the kingfishers around the dam. Well, there goes the other one. Yeah, also just out of shot, I think. Well, hippo is settling down. Obviously realising that we're not a threat. We're not interested in joining him in the water. So let's continue heading down towards... Oh, there's the kingfisher. Are you able to get him? He's just hovering. There we go. He's going to fly right over. Oh, wow. Sure, well done. That was impressive. Wow. So that was a pied kingfisher. Wonder if anyone was quick enough to get a screenshot. Let's say they are the heaviest bird that can hover without any wind in South Africa. So the larger birds do need a little bit of a breeze to hover. So we're going to take Hippo Pools Road. that. Hi, Richard in the UK. Are you okay? You know, that's what I'm saying. Are we okay with the tyre? I managed to find a rock or a log that I didn't see there. Well, welcome on board, Richard. Good to hear from you. Richard wants to know how long hippos... Oh, sorry, no. That was the other question. Hippos can give birth on land or in water, or both. And both. I think they seem to prefer to give birth in the water. But it'll be a shallow pool. And what's interesting about baby hippo, they can suckle underwater, but everything shuts, apart from obviously the mouth, but everything shuts. So the nostrils shut, the eyes shut, the ears close, so it doesn't drown. So even if they're on land, it's just this natural thing where everything closes. And Richard also wanted to know, is the water in the Sabi Sands contaminated with bilharzia? I'm actually not sure, but a lot of the pans and dams can contain bilharzia throughout South Africa. That's why, again, if you come to South Africa, you don't want to be swimming in water that's stagnant or stationary. Running water, bilharzia, you don't tend to find it in the running water. But bilharzia is a parasite, and it's carried by snails, and it makes its way through your foot. There goes the helmeted shrikes. Oh, I'm just thinking they might just stop here somewhere, but they haven't. In fact, the fruit of a torchwood, then we actually were sat underneath the torchwood just where we were watching the hippo. Apparently the pulp can help to eradicate the bilharzia. It's used as a medicine. Well, I forget how it does it. I'll have to do a bit of reading up on that one again. But yeah, that's another reason why I wouldn't go jumping in that dam, just in case. And here's the cicadas going again. So they're about that big, the cicadas. And they are found throughout the world, different species. And they do have quite a long larval stage. It can be several years before they emerge as adults. And maybe someone in America, I think America has the longest, the cicadas over there do have the longest. I vaguely recollect the early or late teens. Could be up to 17 years that they can stay. Maybe someone can check that. There's a vague memory there. Maybe staying in the larval stage underground for 17 years. But yeah, if someone could check that one for me from the US, that would be great. But I think the longest here in South Africa, I think we're looking about maybe 7 years staying as a larval stage. So we're going to take the pipeline down to Cheetah Cut Line, and then we'll take Cheetah Cut Line all the way down to the hyena den and see if we can't catch up with those baby hyenas. So if you do manage to have a look for me, questions at wildearth.tv or hashtag Safari Live. Confirm, was that Lisa? Hi Lisa, welcome on board this afternoon. Lisa would like to know, do the guides carry some form of protection in case the animals get out of hand? Well, we all do, we all carry this. Our minds. That's our first protection. Reading what the animal's doing and avoiding confrontation. But occasionally it can change, as you guys saw with the elephant. I was keeping my distance. I wasn't, from what I could see, I didn't think I was going to be in his path, but he changed his direction. But again, he didn't come across as he was being aggressive. He was just being curious. And as I explained a few days later, that I have had one or two instances where there has been an animal in captivity that's just had this look about him. It's like, I'm coming for you. No idea what I did, but there's just this look in that animal's eye, and you just know they mean business. And I've experienced out in they don't tend to settle. I thought it was going to fly straight off. Just in the tree there. Oh. They did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They don't tend to settle. Little blue waxbill. So I was getting so excited the other day because one actually sat in the bush right next to us. But yeah, as I say, I've had a few things in the wild. The animals have sort of changed their behaviour or whatever, but I've still never picked up on that aggression, that I am going to come for you. And as I say, it is all experience. Sometimes you do judge it wrong, or you do read it wrong, and the animals change their minds. And it's obviously learning to understand what to do in those situations as well. And having people in the vehicle is very different to having people on a walk. Because at least in the vehicle you can control everybody, you just get everybody out of a situation. Or you tell everyone to stay still, do not move, keep calm. And that's why it can be a little bit stressful as a guide, because you need to make sure that those guests are going to follow what you say, not just jump off your vehicle. So you do establish the rules and the boundaries very early on. You get given the safety briefing. Oh, we have another Ellie. And as I say, it is part of the job. It's keeping people safe. But in the big 5 areas, rifles can be taken out on drive as a precaution. But sometimes the young guides kind of think that is the way out, and sometimes they get a little bit of a bravado. So sometimes it actually is a negative taking a rifle out. But also, you're not allowed to shoot an animal from the vehicle, so you actually have to take the rifle out of the bag. It's usually sitting in the bag on the dash top, and you have to climb out the vehicle and then shoot the animal from outside the vehicle. But there's a load of problems with that as well, because you've got guests on the back of the vehicle, so you need to make sure that you're not shooting anywhere where your guests could get injured. You're not shooting where the bullet can actually ricochet. So there's a lot of things to think about. So that's why the easiest thing is actually just to put the vehicle in reverse and get out. But when you're walking, that is when you definitely need the rifle. But again, you're still taught when you're doing your walking, you walk as if you don't have a rifle, so you don't put yourself in situations where you ever need the rifle. The rifle is there purely as a backup. And I've only actually had to load my rifle once. I was actually out on a walk, and we stopped to talk about a tree, and next thing I know, Eddie's popped out the bush about 30 metres in front of us. And I'm just going to pull forward a little bit. the elephants weren't expecting us to be there, and they slammed on the brakes and went, "Oh, people," and I went, "Oh, elephant." And I told my guests immediately get behind me, so that I was between the elephants and the people. And one of my guests ignored me and started taking pictures right next to me, and somehow, I was still holding the rifle, somehow I actually grabbed his shoulder and shoved him behind me. Still don't know, because he was actually much taller than me, but because of my training, I loaded around, and that was the only time I've ever loaded around in my rifle, but I could see she didn't mean any harm. It literally was wrong place, wrong time, and my backup guide actually took my guests out of the situation. I told them move, and they all walked off, and I just stood there and started backing away from her, and she backed away from me, and we both went in opposite directions. As I say, I could see she wasn't going to come for us, but just because of my training, I just made sure that I had that protection there just in case. Thanks to everybody who's been looking that up. So the cicadas, varying between 13 and 17 years in the US. Yeah, I thought it was about 17. This Ellie looks to be another bull on his own. It is very normal to see bull A's. We saw the breeding herd a little bit earlier on with the females and the calves. And the bulls can be on their own. They can be in a small bachelor group, maybe mixed ages, young bulls learning from old bulls how to be male and what it means to be a male elephant. Again, just like the Duggar boys, the really old bulls tend to stick close to the drainage lines. Heading off into Torchwood, so we're actually on the boundary of our property. Guys, check it out. Hi Suzanne, welcome on board this afternoon. And Suzanne wanting to know about horseback safaris, and do the animals not get spooked, or do they not see the horses as food? And again, it is a process, because the horses, you're also asking them to live in the bush, and it could be something different for them. So when a horse comes in to do a trail, they have to learn about the bush and be shown the bush and the different animals. And if the animals have never met horses before, they do find them odd. So you do have to introduce the horses to the animals. And then eventually they do settle down and they get on, and then they actually start to relax more around the horses, because the horse is an animal. But strangely enough, the zebra do take the longest to relax around the horses, which I always found quite interesting. I always thought it was going to be the other way around. But a friend of mine used to do the horseback safaris at the same reserve I used to work at, so we used to take the guests on horseback safaris, and it's one of the best ways to view wildlife. We didn't have the lions in that particular area, we did have the rhinos and the elephants, and we did see them by horseback, which was just absolutely amazing. And giraffes as well. Seeing giraffes by, they are awesome to see. Ooh. So, for those of you who didn't get to see the fork-tailed drongo very nicely earlier, this is fork-tailed drongo close-up. Unfortunately the light is behind it again, so you can't see the red eye too well. But you can see that fork in the tail very nicely. You might just be able to make out that slight hook on the bill as well. It's not very deep, but it is slightly. I'm starting to chatter away. And as far as lions go, it's the same thing. The horses do have to get used to seeing lions. I have heard of a lion actually jumping on the back of a horse. So again, there is a risk, because obviously there are carnivores out there. But generally speaking, again, there's enough food for them not to really go after something that's strange. I think that's one instance that I've heard. There may be more, but I don't think it's the norm. But they also do, if they are in a lion area, they do tend to carry rifles on the horseback as well. But certainly a great way to see wildlife, I must admit. I strongly recommend it. Welcome on board, Teresa. Teresa wanting to know, is there any significance about red eyes and red legs and things like that in birds? And again, it'll be a lot to do with breeding. Obviously in the insects we've been talking about the aposematic coloration, which just means away sign. That's the literal translation, and that's a warning to say, look, I'm poisonous, or there's something about me that makes me dangerous. So the reds, the oranges, the yellows, the blacks, the whites. And also they are found in mammals as well, so the black and the whites. But as I say, the bright colours in birds on the bills and on the legs tends to be to show up certain areas, and shows these bright colours for breeding especially. And the ostrich springs to mind. With the male ostrich, actually, when he's ready to mate, his legs will go pink. It looks like he's bleeding, but they go bright pink. Apparently the females find that attractive. Hyena tracks going down this way. And I did read something about the red eye in birds, and I'm kicking myself because I can't quite remember it. I do remember reading it even like a week ago. And there was a reason why they might have red eyes. I'll have to do some digging again. It's just literally, it's around there somewhere and it just won't come out. I'll keep pondering, because it was also like, that's quite interesting. Unless someone can have a look up for me this afternoon. Otherwise I will have to have another look. I remember the book that it was in. Quite an interesting book, Why Orangutans Orange. But I've only just started reading it, so I haven't got to that point yet. But it's one of the series, why do polar bears get lonely? And why do penguins' feet not freeze? So we're slowly making our way down Cheetah Line. There's a lot of ellie activity around here still. So we might be looking catching up with some more ellies. So we've actually been doing really well for ellie sightings. Just not sticking around as long as they have done sometimes, but I think because they've got baby ellies as well, they're being very protective over those baby ellies. And I must admit, the fork-tailed drongo is might be one of my favourite birds. They're so cheeky. You quite often see the fork-tailed drongos following big animals, waiting for insects to be disturbed in the grass, and that's why they'll follow them. Occasionally you see them riding on the back, but they're not going after ticks and things like that, like the oxpecker do. They're literally waiting for those insects, and they'll follow the vehicles. If we go off road, especially as it starts getting drier, if we go off roads, they'll quite often come and follow us. Quite amazing. Such a lovely little bird. Always has a lot to say. Very good mimics as well. Very, very good mimics of other birds, especially the common-spotted owlet. He's crossing that way. We're almost at the hyena den. Oh, no, come back. I heard them this morning, we haven't seen them yet. Let's see if they're going to come back. No. Flying off. The European beaters, they are still around. That was them. Beautiful, bright coloured birds. And that's a lot to do with what they eat. Get a lot of the colours or carotenoids from the insects that they eat, especially like the bees and things. The yellows, the oranges. Let's see if I can show you a picture when we stop. So I thought they had gone. Okay, so someone's been looking up about the yellow eye colour. Possibly improves long distance vision. I forgot where the turning was then. In the birds. Go ahead. Affirmative, I'm just heading towards the Mbisi car. Copy, no worries. There's a lock there. Oh, fantastic, thank you. Okay, apparently there is another vehicle there, and he said that they can see the two cubs, but there's not really much space for two vehicles, so we're just going to stand by. So while we're standing by, show you the bee eater quickly. So yes, someone was saying that yellow eyes might help to improve the long distance vision. I'm not sure who that came in from. I just need to get the right page. There we go. So it's this guy here. So absolutely stunning colours on the bee eater. You can see the long bill as well, very characteristic of the bee eaters, because as the name suggests, they do catch bees. So if they have a short bill, they would get stung in the face quite a lot. So the long bill actually stops them from being stung. They'll then take the bee and hit it on the branch until the sting falls out, and they can eat the bee without getting stung in the throat either. Very clever. They'll also hit any insect that they do catch on the branch just to try and kill it as well. But this one is a migrant, so it will start heading up north towards Europe. This guy down here, we do see every so often, the white-fronted bee eater. And that is a resident. And for those of you who might have missed it, that's the bird book. Sassel birds, that's the one that I prefer. There is the Roberts, there is the Newmans as well. But I just find this one very quick and easy to use. You can see it's very well used. So while we're waiting, I just want to see... Oh, there we go, he's actually starting to move now. So lots of ellie tracks again, going in that direction, going in that direction. Lots of different directions. And this way as well, I suppose. Oh. No worries. Sorry? Oh no, don't worry, don't worry. Alright, cool, I'm glad you got to see them. Oh, that's going to irritate me now. I really can't quite remember what the red was about, because it was specifically the red as well. The red eye. The trouble is I'm going to have to wait until I actually get back to my research camp to read the book. But I'll see if I can find anything online. So unless anybody can try and look up about the red eye. So we're just approaching the hyena den. It's on Cheetah Cut Line. It's actually in between Cheetah Cut Line and Bedford Road. Oh, there's Mum. Hello, lady. She was round the other side the other day. Just trying to work out where the cubs are. I'm just going to pull in here and then hopefully we can then work out where the cubs are. We've got a nice clear view of her. So yeah, she was using the hole around the other side. I'm sure with those two, it's been a long day. Judging by how boisterous they were being the other day. Hopefully if we just sit here for a little while, the cubs will come back out. I'm fairly sure it will be this side where Mum is that will be. So you can see those large ears, just like the kudu, for detecting any calls that might alert them to the fact that there's some meat to go and scavenge. If someone's made a kill recently, they might just hear the last calls. But remember, they are very good predators in their own right as well, and I think that's something that we usually do forget. I think they do scavenge quite a lot this side, but they are capable of hunting as well. I think with the high density of leopards and lions here, as well as other carnivores, there is the potential to scavenge quite a lot. So rather than waste the energy on hunting, then they rather scavenge and preserve that energy, which makes a lot of sense. Good afternoon to you, Jane. Welcome on board this afternoon. I'm just wanting to know how the hyenas got their names. So, little Untumbella was the little cub we found up on Philman's cut line at that den. And that was a bit of a poll from everybody. Some people were saying to call it Heidi, some people said give it an African name. There's a few other names mixed in there, but most people were saying to give it an African name, so we thought Heidi sounded quite apt. The fact that she was hiding and poking her head out every so often. So I asked one of the guys what the Shangaan name was to say to hide, so he said no, it's Untumbella. So that's where she got her name from. And Peter named, what was it called?
Dopendula.
Dopendula, but we're not sure what it means.
It means, what was it? Bright one, I think.
Bright
happy
one.
or something along those lines.
Okay, bright or happy. So quite often the names come up because of the personality. And as guides go, they don't tend to name hyenas, but certainly the lions and the leopards do get names so that everyone knows what they're talking about, unless there's an animal that has a distinctive feature, like the matriarch of the clan was Floppy Ear. She had a floppy ear and everyone just knew her as Floppy Ear. Oh, shame, look. I have actually seen animals dream, like lions and leopards. And the most memorable one we were actually, oh, there's the cub. Hello, little one. Oh, I think this is a little female. So inquisitive. But yeah, the most memorable one was a lion, and we sat with them to watch them for the whole night. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, it was all quiet, and you just hear this. So we switched the spotlight on him, and we just see the legs twitch and the feet twitch. And I've got no doubt he was dreaming, and that's what made me realise, you know what, it's not just us and cats, or dogs especially back home. Oh, she wants some milk. Please, Mum. I'm hungry. Oh, if only she would just come out of the hole just a little bit further. If I remember rightly, a feeding bout can last a good 15-20 minutes. But I'm worried if I actually switch on the vehicle now to try and move forward, we might just scare them. I want to irritate your mum enough so she can come out this side. So with there being two little pups, I think we've either got a female and a male, or two males, but judging by this one, I think this is a little female. Oh, thanks Emily, having a read up about the red eyes and seabirds. Apparently the red eye helps to stop the glare from the sea, so it actually reduces, by the sounds of it, reduces the sensitivity to the smaller colour waves. That's interesting. Thanks for that, Emily. It might have been along those lines. Those little paws. Absolutely tiny. So I'm hoping if they wriggle enough, she might just move slightly. Because obviously she's very vulnerable now. So if I was to turn on the vehicle and try and move slightly, then I've no doubt the cubs will run back in the hole and she'll turn over, and it will be quite a long process before they come out again. Now for those of you who might just be seeing these hyena for the very first time, they are black for a very good reason. They do live in the hole in the termite mound. So if they were light in colour and any predators were around when they're this young, they'll see them a little bit easier in the hole than if they're black. So that's why they're black, just to blend in with the dark tunnel. And they'll also have a little scrape right at the back of the tunnel that they can go and hide in, but even adult hyena can't get in there. And some holes that adults can utilise, some holes they can't. A number of the termite mounds that we've seen, the adults aren't able to actually go into the holes, but on this one the female can. And they'll start getting the spots when they're about 4 months old. And just judging by the colour of their fur, it's not pitch black like the Lontumbella's was. It's actually more of a chocolate brown now. And the legs are probably about twice the size of the Lontumbella's, so I think they're probably about 2 months old. Yeah, a little bit of a dispute there. Okay, I think they've gone into the hole, so I'm just going to make a bit of noise just to let her know that we're going to try and move. I'm just going to see if she reacts by starting up the vehicle, because if I can pull forward just a little bit, when they come back out again, we might just be able to see them. Okay, well, Mum didn't move, so that's good. Just going to pull forward a little bit. Hello, little one. Good, some nice there. So just spending that little bit of time just sitting and waiting. They've obviously gotten used to us being here now. There we go. And hi, Gator. Good to hear from you. Gator, one of our zoomies for the waterhole camera. Gator wanting to know, are they going to be eating meat? The hyenas don't tend to bring carcasses back, but this is the den that the leopard cub was around. We're still not sure who or what killed the leopard cub. It could have been a hyena, it could have been that they found the cub and they brought it back to the den, so it may be possible they have tried a bit of meat. If meat is brought back, hello. Very inquisitive. But if meat is brought back, then the pups do get a chance to try it, but otherwise they won't really have the opportunity to eat meat until they go out with their adults. Sorry, who was that from? So yeah, so they'll only really go on a foraging excursion with the adults once they're about 6 months to 8 months old, and that's really when they would get to experience their first meat, unless the odd bit has been brought back to the den. But welcome on board, Cindy, in Sacramento, and apparently everybody is dying of cuteness. It's just an overload for them, and it is just so cute, eh? We're so privileged to watch this. The fact that she's actually suckling them really goes to show how relaxed she is with us. Absolutely amazing. Oh, looks like there was a porcupine quill just there, just by her nose. Mum's had enough. So it can get quite tiresome, I think, having the babies constantly bickering around her. I think that's why they do tend to spend quite a bit of time away from the den as well. You see, getting a lot more braver, coming straight back out again. But Cindy wanting to know if clan members if clan members came across these cubs from other clan members from other clans completely, would they kill the cubs? And unfortunately the answer would be yes, because they are rival clans. So if they did find these cubs, they would kill them. But clan members from the same family wouldn't, because they are part of the same family. Families are made up of daughters again, and sisters and aunties. Well, it's great to hear so many people are on board this afternoon and really enjoying this experience. So peaceful. And hear the emerald spotted wood dove in the back. And as the light starts to fade, there you go, there's the emerald spotted wood dove again. The female might start thinking about going out and foraging for food, leaving the little pups alone, and they will retreat back into the hole for safety, where they'll spend the night. And I'm sure this female is part of the same clan as that other little female who had Antombella. I'm sure they'll be related. Apparently you can get quite a number of hyenas in a clan, maybe 20, 30, sometimes up to 50. But in this area I think they are fairly small clans, but certainly up in Kenya, Tanzania, they apparently can number even up to 100. Some of the larger clans. You can see this lady's very seasoned. She's got a few notches in her ear. She's quite pale. She's losing some of her fur. So she's not a young girl, but she's not an old girl either. She's probably in her prime. I'd love to know where she ranks in terms of a clan. How can you hate hyenas? Look at that face. Good afternoon to you, Charlotte, and welcome on board this afternoon. Charlotte wants to know how many hyenas can use a den. Well, the most we've ever seen... I'm seeing that little foot. It's almost like it's doing its own thing. But the most we've seen are 3 sets of different cubs utilising the communal den. We haven't seen any other hyenas around here, so I think it is just her den. And at some stage she might move these cubs to a communal den. But for the time being, she's on her own. go ahead. And need to accept when busy car is active. Busy car is active. So yeah, so we do think this this female is the same female that was seen by Peter at the den site just towards the end of November, looking very heavily pregnant. So that's what makes me think they're probably about 2 months old at the most. I wouldn't say they're any older than that. If anything, then they could be between six weeks and 2 months old. And Fran, welcome on board this afternoon, Fran. And Fran wants to know, is it true that hyenas kill male cubs? I thought I was hearing an odd noise then.
It's a vehicle coming up.
Mhm.
Sounds like a vehicle.
Oh, a vehicle, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, she's hearing it as well. And it's not really true for the males. The males aren't very aggressive. But it is true for females, and that's why I think we've got a mixture of a female and a male. There's one that's definitely more boisterous than the other one, which makes me think it's a male and female. If there's two females, there tends to be extreme sibling rivalry, and the one will bully the other one, and it'll make sure it gets the milk, and it may stop the other one from drinking. So eventually the other one perishes. Now, I don't think anyone really knows for sure if the one cub kills the other cub directly, but certainly it will lead to its demise, unfortunately. But just because the aggression is so high in females, because they've got a lot of testosterone in their bodies, the genitalia of a female hyena is very similar to that of a male, because the testosterone is so high. And it is thought it was to outcompete the males for food when they were scavenging. Franklin's around the back there. She's not too fazed by the Franklins suddenly giving a call up. There's a squirrel just in that just in the, yeah, just there. Little tree squirrel just keeping a watch on the hyena below. But I think they probably wouldn't give an alarm call for a spotted hyena because they don't climb trees. They seem to be worried about the leopards in particular, especially because they can climb trees. So when you do get an animal alarming, it is because of what they've experienced, but also what has the potential to harm them. So if they don't have the potential to harm them, they're not likely to give an alarm call. And I have seen dwarf mongoose around Termite Mound, and they were in the Termite Mound and the lions were all around them, and I didn't hear an alarm call at all, but they were watching the lions like a hawk. Now I've actually seen leopards at the same distance, and they'll scream, they'll give their alarm call, let everybody know that there is a leopard around. And we have actually seen leopard going after the dwarf mongoose, but we haven't seen lion going after dwarf mongoose. Maybe if there's a lion that's too hungry and just not catching enough food, maybe they're injured or old, they might go after the dwarf mongoose, but otherwise it's not really up there on their priority of meals. And these pups are still drinking. You see those little toes going. Well, I think we might leave her in the next few minutes. Just see if they do pop their heads up again. They're very special. Very, very special to see them. You can see this, it looks like they're starting to get a bit restless again, so she might just change sides again. Hi Virginia, welcome on board this afternoon from Kentucky. And if the cubs are in a communal den, will they suckle from other mothers? No, absolutely not. It's a really strange relationship in hyenas. Again, because of that rivalry, there is absolutely no what we call allo-suckling, so other females suckling the other cubs. And they'll actually, if the cubs try and drink, they'll be chased off. And even if we have seen on occasion meat being brought back by a female, other cubs will be chased away from that meat so that only her cubs will feed from it. Really quite amazing, considering clan members will go and hunt together, and they will go and scavenge together. And for all intents and purposes, they live as a family in that sense, but there is absolutely no help. Like with the lions, the females will often suckle the cubs from other females. There we go. Okay, now I've eaten, I'm gonna go and explore. Nice little pot belly after all this food. Look at those paws. Just like a puppy's paw, too big for it. Gonna grow into them. You can see sniffing around. I think maybe there was a bit of a porcupine carcass that got brought back. I do wonder if the hyenas around here bring back carcasses more so than up in Kenya, Tanzania, and again it could be that they bring the cubs back to communal dens maybe a lot more up that side. So if they were to bring kills or carcasses back, it's going to be a lot more difficult to fend off other clan members and cubs, especially if they're low ranking. So it could be that we're seeing a slight difference in behaviour here, and maybe they do bring kills back a little bit more often than what we give them credit for. Which will, maybe somebody could research that one day. But I think we've got ourselves a little female here. She's just too bold. Oh, how awesome was that? Oh, fantastic. Oh, I think it is probably right for us to leave now. That really has just been absolutely fantastic. Very, very special. Okay, lady. See, she's still lying down. She's just turned her head slightly to have a look at us. But otherwise, she's not getting up, which is fantastic. That's exactly how we want to leave her. Reversing all the way. Oh, okay. So Emily and Virginia also just find the quills there. They were also asking if they have eaten a porcupine. Either that or porcupine dropped by. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Just noticed the buffalo thing. I got it. I noticed him too late, sorry. There we go. So yeah, it could have been that it dropped by and was looking for somewhere just to den for the night, because they will utilise the old holes as well. And they found that it was actually being occupied. There is that possibility. Oh, that was so special. So, I suppose we might just catch the sun as it's dipping. It looks like it was just a little too late. almost had the sunset. A band of cloud forming, but still beautiful blue sky above us. So maybe no rain tonight. And you can hear the call of the crested francolin singing the goodbyes to the sun before they go to roost. Stations leaving in Kaya, Baku. 212 Baku. Sounds like the grub-billed oxpeckers heading home to roost. So we're heading back up Cheetah Cut Line, and we're going to cut through either Mamba or Battlefield Road. We might do Mamba. Come out just south of Chalapan and make our way up towards Chalapan. Maybe see if we can hit it lucky with Queen of Juma herself. What are you seeing, mister? Not too much, or are you? Something's drawing his attention over there. Hi, Sandy. Sandy just seeing the branch just down the road that led up towards the hyena den, and do branches get put there to stop the disturbance? And yes, they do. So just to stop anyone going right up to the hole, branches do get put there. You see it's standing quite proud, and it could be there's another male in the bush there. Again, his ears focused forward, his nose, his eyes, everything is focused on that particular area. He is quite a handsome boy. Now if you saw the Nyala earlier, you can see there's no stripes on his body apart from around his tail. And he has almost a three-tone to his body. He's got the dark area on top, light around the middle, like beige, and then cream underneath his belly. That's how you can tell Impala apart from Nyala. Bushbuck. The bushbuck are also just one colour all over the body. And it's thought that this helps to make the Impala less 3D-like. It helps to blend in with its surroundings. It's known as counter shading. And once the sun is directly overhead, the dark colour becomes lighter and blends in with the light underneath. And they say it's supposed to make it look less animal-like. I'm not sure if I really believe it, but that is the theory. Whereas the antelope that live most of the time in the bush, in the thick bush, there's no need for the counter shading. They have the spots and stripes to try and break up the body outline instead. So my argument for that is then why don't the wildebeest and the hartebeest and other antelope that live out in the plains have this counter shading? Why is it only the Impala and the springbuck, the gazelles? I need to do a bit more digging. It's starting to get slightly darker as we come towards the end of the drive, so we might get lucky with seeing some of the nocturnal animals. I think there was a question earlier that I missed answering about the animals that might be around that we don't see, and a lot of the nocturnal animals are in that category, like the honey badger, aardvark, maybe pangolin. I'll just see a pangolin again. Zorilla, it's the striped polecat. Caracal, serval. Sometimes I do get to see the bush babies. So I'd love to see an aardvark with me on drive. Funny looking creatures. Brown hyena. I know Peter did pick up the brown hyena once on drive. That was down by the quarry on Gary Main. And I don't think any sign of them has been seen since. That was quite a few years ago now. And so unfortunately I seem to have the nose for the pasting. Unfortunately. So I keep looking out for the scent. It's quite a distinctive scent. Quite musty urine smell, but it doesn't smell like other anal glands or other secretions. Red fruits again, that's what I'm smelling. Quite a sweet and sour smell. Even an aardvark might be really cool. I don't think we've ever caught an aardvark on camera. Jackal? Someone was asking about jackal the other day. civets, genets, all these weird and wonderful creatures that just come out at night. Porcupines, that would be a nice one to show you. Obviously there is evidence we do have porcupines. Quite big actually. They are the largest rodent in South Africa. Porcupine. Lower branch on the russet bush willow there, aka the bush tea. Let's see if we can make it to Cheddar Pan. We're currently heading west along Mamba Road. The roads are named after either sightings or people that made the roads, or there'll be some form of story that's attached. I'd love to know how big the mamba was that was seen on this road. Mambas can reach about 3 meters in length. That's something you don't really get to see very often on the snakes. Rock in the road. Thought I avoided it. Starting to get to that odd time of day where it's not dark, it's not light. You can see the spotlight not really picking up too much. Still a little bit light, but helpful in the bushes. No. Okay, that's not where I was thinking I'll pop out. How did that happen? I must have taken leadwood without me realising it, but it did look like leadwood. Well, I think we're doing a bit of a curve. Okay, we're going to possibly lose you as we go through the dip. I obviously wasn't paying attention. I thought we'd already passed leadwood. I'm sorry about that, folks. We're not on Mamba at all, we're on leadwood. Okay, one completely straight. So we're at Gary Maze, we're going to cut back through Twin Dams. There's been ellies around here. This is where we popped out this morning, just the other side. So maybe we'll be lucky with quarantine mail. This is where we left him, right at the end of drive. Smell somebody here. It's very strong. Could be the buffalo. It looks like the impala didn't go too far. The impala on this side of the dam when we came out of the bush. We're actually on the other side, which is where they are now. Yeah. Buffalo are there. There's the impala. Just on the opposite side of the bank there. So it looks like there's a bachelor herd. Quite a number of males. So we saw the one. He will be holding the territory by the looks of it. Whereas we have the bachelor group now. And then we have the old Duggar boys who are going to start leaving the water fairly soonish to go and start grazing. So I'm just going to go around the other side of the dam. Actually see them a little bit better. There, boys. You might be able to make out the odd head of a terrapin bobbing around in the water as well. So when the buffaloes are resting in the water like this, the terrapins will go and pick off any ticks that the oxpeckers have missed. Oh, nice stretch. You ready to go and find some food, mister? Excuse me. I must admit the temperature now is very, very pleasant. And again, just chewing the cud there. He is a ruminant, so he's just regurgitating what he would have picked up last night, chewing it all nice and mushy, making sure he chews it into a fine paste, very small pieces in that paste, and then it will going down to the first stomach, get separated off, and any large pieces will get thrown back up again to be re-chewed. And then it will go through the other the other three chambers of the stomach. This little one's got attitude, hey? So what you doing? No sign of a crocodile. This is where we used to see the crocodile quite a lot. No sign of one today. Out of all of the big five, the Duggar boys are probably one of the most unpredictable, especially if they're on their own. And quite often people walk into them because they hide away, and you can see if there was a lot of reeds here you would not see these boys at all until they stood up, and that's part of the problem because they do hide away so well. So you don't know they're there until you're right on top of them. And that's why when you walk you want to try and avoid the riverbeds and the causeways, the drainage lines. Hi Laura. And there's your answer. Do buffaloes make any noise? So hopefully you heard that. And they do, it's comes from the belly, that deep roar. Nyari at Twin Dams. Excuse me. Thank you. But if I do see Venus again, I'll point her out. It's always nice to see. And if you are looking for Venus, always look towards the sun. Same with Mercury, because they fall between us and the sun. Hi Marsha, and I actually don't remember. Marsha was talking about going down to the dam, getting out the vehicle and going down to the dam, just check something out, and we came back as we found the buffalo, and I really don't remember that at all. Not sure when that happened. There must have been a very good reason for me to have gone down to have a look, because I wouldn't normally have done that. Maybe I had a very good advantage point. Maybe it was on one of the dam walls or something, but I don't really remember that. I'll have to ponder. But you can see it is. Ah, there's Venus. She's just popped out. There she is. The evening star this time, just between the trees. There she is. Just a pale dawn in the sky now, but she will get brighter and then she will sink. But thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have, and certainly those hyena cubs. Oh, how adorable. But do join us tomorrow. But for myself, the fun, Brian and Andrew back in Fire Control, take care and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.